So for today or for tonight, we're depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. It's the evening here in Nairobi. But if you're in the States or Europe or even over in Asia, thank you for taking the time to join us. And exactly like Benson kind of introduced, we're excited just to fellowship and share a little progress of kind of what's been happening in the organization over the past 12 months. I was so sorry to miss some of you in the States on a couple of trips through this year. And, there's nothing that we enjoy as an organization more than kind of sitting down and sharing all the testimonies and the impacts that we get to be part of every single year. Because we wouldn't be able to do this work. We wouldn't be able to fulfill the vision and mission that the Lord has given us without your support. And sharing and celebrating that with each of you is obviously such a critical and enjoyable part, because we really do feel like even though we're here kind of the boots on the ground, kind of executing the vision on a day-to-day, we do really feel and acknowledge how we wouldn't be able to do it without your generosity and support. And so thanks for joining in, and hopefully today we'll be able to just share some of that success and kind of give you a little bit of a snapshot of what's working, what's not, what are we changing, how are we improving, and how are we adapting, and also where the Lord is leading us in this next year. And so I'm kind of hoping to kind of just jump into a bit of a progress report to kind of give you a kind of a little bit of a snapshot in 20, 30 minutes of actually what's happening in the organization, because it's been a wild 12 months. And so I'm sitting here in our office. We've been working remotely for the last 6 or 7 years. And but in the last, starting in January, we opened up an office here in Nairobi, and just behind me, there's some construction workers even expanding it, extending its renovations. And so it's been a long 12 months, but it's been an incredibly fruitful 12 months as well. So excited to share a little bit of the updates. And so to kind of recap, many of you will remember that we started off by kind of really moving the headquarters from Washington, D.C. here to Nairobi. We did a feasibility study, really asking a lot of questions of what does the church need here in Kenya and across the continent? What's working, what's not? How could we best continue to accomplish our mission of providing hardworking men and women with the economic and spiritual resources that they need to build their capacity. And so we started off with a pilot here in Kenya. And so we found 6 businesses, we lent them some capital, and we started learning, we started coaching and mentoring and seeing if we could create jobs and help, put stable and decent salaries into people's pockets to be able to help create jobs and provide for the people of the church. And then the last 3 years has been really about executing that plan. How do we build out the plan, build out the program in Kenya? How do we then grow it to a size where we can be at scale and really make a significant impact on the community? And then in the future, if it's working, how can we replicate this in another country? So on your screen here, you'll see a little bit of the plan that we kind of set out. And these are our targets. These are our goals. This is how we kind of hold ourselves accountable to, are we being good stewards of the resources that have been placed in our hands, and are we truly achieving our vision and mission? And so this was kind of the plan and some of the building blocks that we put together a couple of years ago, and the 4 pillars that you can kind of see here that we knew that we were going to need to build if we were going to achieve our goals and really kind of create a long-term solution to be able to help faith-driven entrepreneurs grow their businesses and help sustain and support the local church around the world. And so to kind of give you a snapshot, the first was the program. In the last couple of years now, we've received over 650 applications from Christian small businesses that we've looked at. We've really tried to kind of refine the criteria and really see about what is the best solution that we can do. And so we've really realized that we're not focusing on startups, of people who have an idea, but actually looking at businesses that have some good traction. They've been able to get some customers. They've got some decent systems in place, but they're strong believers. They're very committed to their faith, but they're looking to how can we actually expand and grow this business and create more jobs. And so we've now invested around $1.5 million into 20 businesses from the 650 applications. And we also have 10 mentors that are actively kind of walking side by side inside the businesses. And so we found this has been really kind of testing us as we grow and expand the program. The people, I'll talk a little bit about the people in a moment, but one of the key kind of aspects for us to really kind of provide a solution that these entrepreneurs need is actually strategic partnerships. And I think one of the parts that the Lord really drew us here to Nairobi was He's doing something really special in this city, but also in this country as well. There's an incredible entrepreneurial spirit. The people here in Kenya are extremely hardworking and very committed to being innovative and providing solutions for their community. As a nonprofit, one of the things a nonprofit always has to fight is that temptation of seeing problems and trying to fix them, rather than trying to build a solution that really can have a long-term sustainable impact on the customers that you're serving. And so one of the parts for us is really trying to be very specific about what are we excellent at and how can we make sure that we are serving these faith-driven entrepreneurs as faithfully as possible. So we've been able to build some great partnerships and collaborating with a whole variety of different Christian accelerators, even some universities, some churches, but really trying to make sure that we are doing our best job to serve all these other organizations that are continuously trying to create jobs for the people of the church, but also those who are committed to driving a local vision of outreach. So that's obviously been a huge part to be able to build out the organization. The other part is processes and technology. One of the things is when we tried and tested lending capital to 7 businesses, that's where we started. But then it's okay, can we lend a couple of $100,000, but can we lend $1 million? Are we able to actually really make a dent on this problem and be really able to help a lot more businesses? We looked and did the due diligence and really kind of assessed 100 businesses, but could we do this for 500 businesses? And yes, we could. And so I think one of the parts that we've been looking at internally is making sure that we are just building strong systems and procedures so that we can continue to grow and support more entrepreneurs, but be faithful of the resources that we have, the time that we develop, and making sure that we're having an impact on the community. And then the other one was capital, right? We needed, financial backers to be able to help us to do the work, to test, to find businesses. And that's been a really great help. I think one of the key parts is when I look back on the last 2 years, we've had every single dollar that we've needed to be able to do the work and serve the businesses that God has put in front of us. And I've always been very kind of driven since I heard this quote a long time ago from a former mentor of mine was from Hudson Taylor's, God's work done God's way will never lack God's supply. And I think that's one thing that we've been trying to be really faithful for. If we can actually really be sensitive to where the Lord is leading us, and just really kind of drawing in on His strategy and on His grace to be able to build out the organization and serve these faith-driven entrepreneurs as faithfully as possible, then we don't need to worry about having the funding that we need to do the work, because He'll be able to mobilize the resources. And so we've been extremely grateful for how the Lord has been guiding us, but also been providing for us along that way. To jump into the team, so the team has changed quite a lot. And so now that we've set up here the office, we've had to recruit a whole team of people here. So in the last 12 months, the team has gone from 6 staff to 14 staff. Alongside, of course, bringing in different service providers here that are inside the country to help us with financial support, legal support. We've also kind of brought in this kind of team of just different people to help assess the businesses, to mentor and coach the businesses, to provide kind of support of hosting different events and fellowships, as well as marketing, people to come and help share the story of what these Christian entrepreneurs have accomplished, and kind of providing a roadmap for others to be able to follow in that place. And so, the operations team is up to 8, the marketing team is up to 6 people. And then we've got a variety of kind of other people who've been supporting inside the organization, but we don't have time to kind of go through and share all about that. We've also been greatly appreciative of an investment committee. And so these 5 volunteers have kind of helped provide that advisory counsel from their business experience as we look at businesses to provide their counsel and wisdom from their own professional experience, to understand, is this a good potential partner for us in the long term? Because of course we're looking for believers and faith-driven entrepreneurs, but we're also looking for good businesses and entrepreneurs with and Christians with a good, strong business acumen as well. So each of the businesses kind of go through those different stages of due diligence, and this committee kind of help us to kind of go through and approve which businesses we should lend capital to and invite into our portfolio that we can walk alongside. The next is the mentors. And so, part of what we're trying to do is not just lending money to entrepreneurs, but actually kind of mobilizing other faith-driven entrepreneurs, people who have been CEOs, who have led their own companies, who are strong believers and led by their faith. How can we kind of pair them with the entrepreneurs to help provide that counsel and guidance in how to grow their business, right? And so that's kind of been the kind of a key pillar of what we've been doing, is actually making sure that each of our entrepreneurs, as they're hustling and building out all the different systems and processes of their business, how are we actually providing access to a role model, someone who's actually gone there, been there, done that, has the scars, has the successes, and just to be able to guide and counsel them. And so for me, this is very much so the church in action, is very kind of committed individuals who are able to support and walk alongside these founders.